Live there. All right. What's going on, guys? I'm Nick.
I'm Eric.
And we are Talking Interference Sports. We are brought to you by the Game Changer Sports Network. If you are not following them and or us, go check them out at Game Changer Sports Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Same with us over there. We're Talking Interference Sports. We got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and we go live on Twitch, but not today. The Twitch name is Rictorshoue, Rictorshoue. Go check that out. If you're in the Seattle Everett area and you're getting coffee, go to Tabby's Coffee. Tell her Talking Interference Sports sent you. Go to SeatGeek.com. Use SeatGeek.com to get your tickets to any sporting event that you're going to. Use promo code GCSN, get $20 off your purchase. I think that's it. I think that's all the plug. Shout out Game Changer Sports Network.
Jeff's Basement. Go check them out.
Yeah, that's all I got. How was your week?
Man, it was tiring. Yeah, pretty long day, or pretty long week at work.
Yeah, I feel that. Me too, man. Well, not at work, but
yeah.
long. Well, taking care of a baby is work.
Absolutely. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I enjoyed my weekend. We went to hang out with some of the family, and I got some stuff done in the house. And
excellent.
It was good. Yeah, we got the game on in the background. Yeah, so I had a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Memorial Day wasn't too bad.
No.
So, not too bad. I don't really think, other than the fact that the Blues lost game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, was there really too much going on this week in sports? I didn't really see too much. I mean,
not a whole
the
lot.
Raptors and the Golden State Warriors are set to play, I think, this week. I think tomorrow. Not positive, so don't quote me on that. But that's coming soon.
I used to really like the NBA, but I don't know. The showboating got to me, so I just kind of quit watching it.
I feel you. I like to pay attention to the finals and the playoffs. I don't really pay attention to the regular season very often.
Yeah.
So.
No, I get that. And maybe I should, since we, do a sports show. But I don't.
Yeah, I feel it. I get you. All right. Well, I just don't really have too much sports information to put out today. I feel kind of at a loss because I don't really feel like a whole lot of stuff happened.
Pull up the
Bart Starr died.
Yeah, Bart Starr died, and Bill Buckner died.
Yep. So rest in peace to those guys.
Yeah. It's so crappy for Bill Buckner that he's going to go down in history
as the guy who missed that ball.
Yeah, that
so
lost
bad.
The World Series for the Red Sox. But I think just being the age that I am, and even as a Red Sox fan, I forgive the guy.
How can you not? The guy was, other than that one play, the guy had quite a bit of stats for.
Yeah, I mean, he was a good player.
Let's pull him up here.
But I think he had 27. I forget how many hits he had, but it was a substantial number.
27 hits? Is that what you're saying? 27,000? Is that what you're saying?
Not 27.
2,700, excuse me.
Yeah, 2,700. But
Yeah, he had 27. He batted a nice 289. Yeah. 2,715. He hit 1,174 home runs, excuse me. And he had 1,200 runs batted in,
Yeah.
And he's forever remembered and immortalized as the guy who missed that ball.
Yeah. Which I mean, granted, that should have been an easy catch.
Ground ball, right?
Yeah. Or I think it.
It was a roller up the.
No, it bounced right in front of him.
Oh, okay.
And then went right between his legs.
Never struck out 3 times in a game. Look at that. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, so the guy was a good ball player, but that one play is how he's always going to be remembered.
That's unfortunate.
And, yeah, it really is. And damn.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Yeah, but I mean, and I think I think it probably at least for me, and I'm sure this goes for a lot of other Red Sox fans, that it's just like that fan that reached over the Cubs fan.
Yeah.
And I mean, that dude had to move to a different state.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, they win the World Series. What was that, 2-3 years ago?
Right.
And like the governor pardons him or does some damn thing.
Well, yeah. Thank God for that.
Right. Yeah. Meanwhile, 20 years of this guy's life is just ruined. He's getting random death threats and shit.
So, and
Bill Buckner, I think
he's a pretty decent dude, from what I was reading about too.
And I don't know. Yeah, after that, I don't think he played in the MLB, and then he moved to Montana and North Dakota or some damn thing like that,
and just
dropped off.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, he passed away. Rest in peace, Bill Buckner. Bart Starr also passed away. Bart Starr, 2-time Super Bowl champion, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, the very first 2 Super Bowl MVPs. He's a 5-time champion, I guess. Okay. Most valuable player, 5-time passer leader. Packers Hall of Fame, number 15 retired. Now, that guy's pretty decorated. He was their quarterback coach in the 70s. He was their head coach in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, Bart Starr was the man.
Yeah. So, there's one for Bart Starr. I don't know.
And he was 85.
I believe he was 85. So, yep, he died at 85 on the 26th. So, rest in peace, Bart Starr.
Yeah, for real.
What other little events happened over the weekend?
I'll pull up the USA Rugby because Sevens played a tournament.
Okay, USA. Let me hit up Google because I hate the Yahoo search. USA men's rugby media relations. That's not what I'm trying to look up. Rugby men's sevens.
Yeah, there we go.
Did they win?
They didn't win the tournament, but I can't remember.
Did they win the game?
I think they
schedule and results. It is loading. If you guys aren't paying attention, the Boston Bruins are up 2-1 against the Blues with 8:45 left in the first period. May 26th, score 31-41. I believe that's a win for them.
So they beat France. They lost to Fiji.
Yep. So where does that place them in the standings at this point then? How does the
they were number
work?
1, so I believe
they lost to Fiji, but they beat Canada
and they beat
Australia and Wales and Spain. So they've only lost to Fiji.
Right, and I don't remember. So they won all of their pool matches. So that means
bronze final. So they got bronze.
Oh, okay. So they got bronze.
That's
so
what
they
it
finished
is.
fourth.
So they finished third.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Bronze is third.
Yep.
Sorry.
It's all right.
There.
It's all good. So yeah, the event was the London Sevens bronze finals, and the USA men rugby team comes up 31-14.
Yeah. So that should just about clinch them at least a definite spot
in the Olympics. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I like that.
And that would be their I can't remember how they finished in Beijing.
I wasn't paying attention to rugby during that time.
That's
so
either
I could not tell you.
That was only like a month ago.
Beijing Olympics?
No. Sorry.
Like,
a Beijing, the rugby tournament.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Beijing Rugby Olympic.
No, before they played in Singapore, they've played in Sydney, Singapore, and then before that in Beijing, and they might have finished third in that one too. So this is either their second or third bronze finish.
And I think even them getting a podium like standing is good for men's rugby or rugby in the United States in general.
I don't think this year that the sevens team at least has. There might be one tournament where they didn't walk away with a medal.
Okay.
So it's been a
they're doing really
good year.
Yeah. I mean, they're not finishing first and crushing it out the park every single time, but
they're consistently up there.
Yeah.
And they're consistently up there with
Fiji.
Samoa, Fiji.
Yeah.
I
mean, those kids are all bred on rugby. Like rugby is like what those guys do. Like
I mean, I don't know.
That's got to be like a national sport there. Like,
yeah, I mean, in the South Pacific, those nations, rugby to them is what football is to us.
Right. Yeah. So that's why those guys are like as solid as they are in comparison to.
Right. So I mean, if USA can stand,
shoulder
to shoulder with them.
Yeah. That's very impressive.
That's huge.
I like that. Sorry, I'm getting written up. It's all good. So yeah, congratulations to the men's rugby finishing third.
Yeah,
that's cool. I like that. I'd like to see how they do in the Olympics. I'll definitely be paying attention to that.
Those are going to be some good matches.
Yeah, I bet. Sorry, I was looking at. Was that a goal? It was a goal. Blues up or tied it 2-2. All right, sorry. Yeah, all right. Getting written up. No, I'm not in trouble. No, I meant. Sorry. People hit me up. It's going down.
Didn't pass inspection.
That's right. All right, so we have compiled our top 3 baseball players in each position last week. So this upcoming few weeks, we will be talking about best positions in football. And we decided we were going to start with cornerbacks, tight ends, running backs, and edge rusher. So when I looked up edge rushers, it all popped up. When I looked up like top edge rushers, it all popped up as pass rushing, just all across it. So we can move it probably to best defensive lineman.
Okay.
So I think instead of just edge rushers, we just keep it best defensive lineman.
Okay.
And me personally, I was trying to not exclude. I wasn't trying to exclude older players so much as I was trying to include guys that I watched personally.
Right.
That's kind of where I was shooting for. But if there's a guy like Walter Payton, who I clearly did not watch run, and he's in the top 3 in everybody's pick, you got to throw Walter Payton in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tried to do the same thing, but there were a couple of them. Well,
that you just cannot dispute it that they deserve a spot in.
Exactly.
Right. So
Actually, he was one of them. I was like, well,
Walter Payton.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I was getting at. I wanted to touch it before we started the conversation, but basically, I was looking at, I believe, LT's got to be up in your top 10 everywhere. Like, LT's probably one of the best new era running backs of all time. No, actually, we're not. We have it on in the background. But who do you have for third?
In terms of what? Running backs?
Running backs, yeah.
I have Marshall Faulk.
Marshall Faulk. I love that. Marshall Faulk
Yeah, so he plays
is one of my favorite running backs of all time.
Yeah, he played for the Colts, the Rams. He's a Super Bowl champion. 7-time Pro Bowl, 3-time first team, 3-time second team, NFL MVP in 2000, 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year in 1994, rushing TD leader in 2000. He rushed for 12,279 yards and averaged 4.3 yards per carry and had, was it 100 or 110 rushing TDs? And
It says 100.
Okay, 100. And then what really solidified him as the number 3 was his ability as a receiver.
Yeah, dude.
With 767 receptions and 36 receiving TDs.
I have him also having 6,875 receiving yards.
Oh, okay. I didn't write
as
that
a
down.
running back.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting over here in Seattle like, oh, shit, Marshawn Lynch can catch the ball, too.
No.
No. I mean, he could. But.
Not like that, man.
No, I don't like that guy.
Yes. Super Bowl champion, 7-time Pro Bowl, most valuable player, offensive rookie of the year, NFL rushing touchdown leader. His numbers retired by the Rams, 3-time first team. I mean, you got
the Ring of Honor
Sandy,
for the Colts.
Ring of Honor for the Colts. Like, I definitely can get on board with you putting Marshall Faulk in your top 3. I think I would put him over LaDainian Tomlinson. Mm-hmm. I would put him. So I'm trying to keep it new era for me. I would put LaDainian Tomlinson third. So let's try and pop up LT's. There we go. Boom. Let's pull up his information because this guy was a beast when he was playing, man. Played for the Chargers from 01 to 09. The Jets from 10 to 11. He was a 5-time Pro Bowl where Marshall was what? 7. Let me pull that up.
Now, I would like to qualify that a little bit just because the Pro Bowl
is kind of a joke in
the Pro Bowl means less to me than the All-Star game. Personally.
I agree with that. But to be recognized in a Pro Bowl situation, you had to have had somewhat of a higher caliber of a season compared to everybody else in your position.
Do you though?
I think you do.
I mean,
during their time Pro Bowl versus right now, because I feel like right now is more kind of a popularity contest.
I was gonna say, look at the absolute garbage season.
Because it wasn't Aaron Rodgers in
yeah, and he had a terrible season.
Right. I
mean, not that other years he absolutely deserved to be there, but
right.
Last year,
I don't think so. So we were on the Pro Bowl. So he was a 3 first team, 3 second team All-Pro. So 3 times on first team, 3 times on second team.
But that doesn't add up to 5.
Nope. He got most valuable player in 06.
Okay.
He got offensive player of the year in 06. Walter Payton Man of the Year award. NFL rushing leader twice.
Okay.
NFL rushing touchdown leader 3 times. The Chargers retired his number. And then the rest of them are all college related. He has NFL records of 28 rushing touchdowns in a season, 31 touchdowns from scrimmage, and 18 consecutive games with a touchdown.
Okay.
Pretty impressive.
That's really impressive.
Let's peep at the numbers for his career. What was Marshall's final rushing yards?
1,279.
And he played how many years? He
I
played,
did not write that down.
Okay, so Marshall played from 94 to 06. LT played from 01 to 11. Okay. So LT had more yards. How many touchdowns did Marshall have?
100 rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
And then 36 receiving TDs.
Yeah, so the fact that he was just better from a receiving standpoint, I would put him up there. But LT's numbers are pretty impressive here.
No, those are great numbers. The reason I put Falk as my number 3 was just that double threat ability as a running back and as a receiver.
I totally agree with that. I'm just trying to bring up somebody else's perspective on this.
Yeah.
You know?
I totally
but
agree.
I definitely would put LT 3, Marshall Falk 2. I agree with that. And my assumption is that you put Walter Payton as 1.
Yes, I did.
Where I would dispute it and say Jim Brown 1.
Okay. I could see that.
Ooh, okay. They got Jim Brown 3.
And
Emmitt Smith 2.
I have Emmitt Smith as 2 as well.
Walter Payton is 1. Okay. Well, let me pull up some Jim Brown stats here, and you tell me your number 2.
Okay, my number 2
was Emmitt Smith,
Emmitt
right?
Smith, yeah.
Okay. Let's look up Jim Brown. Tell me about Emmitt Smith.
All right, so Emmitt Smith played for the Cardinals and the Cowboys. 3-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, 8-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first team, AP MVP of the year 1993, NFL MVP 1995, Offensive Rookie of the Year, 4-time NFL rushing leader, 4-time rushing TD leader, 3 NFL records for rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and rushing attempts. So he has 18,355 rushing yards, 164 rushing TDs, and 4,409 rushing attempts. He averaged 4.2 yards per carry, had 515 receptions, 3,224 receiving yards, and 11 receiving TDs.
Okay. So, and how many rushing touchdowns do you have?
He had 164.
164. Okay. Let's look at it.
But Brown has almost a yard more.
Yeah.
In terms of average.
Emmitt Smith. Okay, so let's compare the accolades real quick.
Between all 3?
Yeah, you have Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton, right?
Yeah, Emmitt Smith is number 2 and
Walter Payton is
number
1. Okay. So Walter Payton You can read me the stats for him, but
Okay.
I'll go over Jim Brown's real quick.
All right.
Jim Brown was an NFL champion, a nine-time Pro Bowl, 8-time first team, and 1-time second team. He was 3-time AP NFL Most Valuable Player, Rookie of the Year, 8-time rushing yards leader, 5-time rushing touchdown leader, and the Browns retired his number. He didn't play for very long. He got into acting too, I'm pretty sure. Jeff says Jim Brown was in Pulp Fiction. I think he
played for 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, considering he played in the late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah.
And he was a running back. I'd say that's a pretty long career.
I would say so too. Well, and it's crazy because he actually, from 64 all the way to even 2014, he's acting. So from 64, he was acting while he was still playing football. He won a Super Bowl while he was playing football or acting. That's pretty impressive. Not that that gives you any kudos on the field, but I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool little tidbit.
Let's look at these numbers for Emmitt Smith. 18,000 versus 12,000 in rushing yards, excuse me. And then yards per carry were 4.2 versus 5.2.
Yeah, but Emmitt Smith also has the record for rushing yards.
Yes, I totally agree with that. Yes. Most rushing attempts.
Well, agree or disagree, it's a fact.
Yeah. Rushing touchdowns career, rushing yards career. Emmitt Smith might be one for me, man. Why did you put Walter Payton over Emmitt Smith?
I think because Emmitt Smith was the Rookie of the Year, but Walter Payton, he was in one more Pro Bowl, so he had played in 9 Pro Bowls, 7 first teams, AP, NFL MVP, 2-time NFC Offensive Player of the Year, NFL Offensive Player of the Year, NFL Digest Running Back of the Year. I think it was the 2 NFC Offensive Players of the Year and the NFL Offensive Player of the Year.
That gave you Walter Payton?
Yeah.
Okay,
Over Emmitt Smith.
So Dennis says we should be looking at Barry Sanders as well, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah, totally agree with that too.
I totally agree with that. He was a 10-time Pro Bowl. I think that's the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
That is. Most definitely is. 8-time first team.
Okay.
I think we're only looking at 7 for Walter Payton.
Yes.
Yeah.
7 first teams.
How many Offensive Player of the Year awards did he get?
For the NFL or for the conference? Because 1 for the NFL and 2 for NFC
Offensive Player of the Year. So that's a crucial point too, because Barry only got 2 Offensive NFL Player of the Year is more prestigious over the NFL as opposed to 2 conferences. I can agree with that. Stats are what matter. Jim Brown was the dude who whooped Tyrese in Baby Boy after nailing his mom. Walter Payton was the best ever, then Barry Sanders, then you could argue about 3. Okay. It's just a discussion. We're just.
And who do you have up near now? Barry Sanders?
Yeah, this is Barry Sanders we're looking at right now.
That's a rookie. Yeah, so he got Rookie of the Year too.
Yep. I don't care about their college stats. I don't care about that.
He did win a Heisman Trophy, though.
That doesn't mean anything to me. Sorry. We're looking at his career in the NFL.
I agree, but
How many Heisman Trophy winners have won the Heisman Trophy and then
just
got into the
crapped the
NFL
bed?
and then just were inexistent the rest of their career?
That's true.
So,
Or move to Canada.
or move to Canada. Ooh, shots fired.
Whatever. Come at me, bro.
Gee, he might flip you off. You're like while he's walking off the field. Man.
Oh, good. I don't care.
That guy's so good though.
Yeah, Johnny Football can eat my butt.
I like it.
Actually, I hope he comes back to the NFL with his head screwed on and plays well. That's what I hope.
I do too. I think he's good for the sport
I do too.
once he gets his stuff together.
Mm-hmm. I think just a young guy got too much money too fast and was told he was great his whole life.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I hope he gets squared away and comes back and does good things.
So for me, man, like I really got to put Emmitt Smith 1, man. Like, I'm sorry, I just have to after we've had the discussion, but whoever is the number one. When we were talking about Marshall Falk and we were talking about LaDainian Tomlinson, that's a new era type of a thing. And now we're talking about guys that I didn't watch play football. So I don't have a personal perspective of it. We're just looking at numbers at this point.
Right.
Which is why I kind of wanted to steer away from that. But I probably would put Emmitt Smith 1, Barry Sanders. Damn, dude. They're so tight, dude. Like, okay, so even receiving touchdowns, Walter Payton's got him. Barry Sanders has him in. No, he doesn't. In rushing yards, he doesn't. Walter Payton's 1. What, dude? I don't know. It's rough because Emmitt Smith holds all the records.
Right.
So how do you not throw him in the mix? Emmitt Smith has all of the records that matter for a running back. Like,
and that's
for
why
a
I put
career.
him at number 2.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Old enough to have watched all these players except for Brown. I'm telling you, Peyton, then Sanders, without a doubt, were amazing. What about OJ? So I like that we had the discussion about OJ, or we hadn't had a discussion about OJ because the fact that
I only know
his,
OJ from the trial.
Yeah, the fact
I don't remember him as a player.
I don't know him as a player at all, and I've only heard good things about him on the field, and no
Off
good
the
things
field,
about him at all off the field. Like, not a good thing at all about him off the field. So I kind of just didn't want to bring him into the conversation just because, like, people are.
And all the other, like, more official or whatever sports commentators or whatever.
They all threw him in the top 5 at least.
Not the ones I saw.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they were like honorable mention to
Really?
OJ.
Let's look at Bleacher Report because I have it open right now. Let's look at their.
I guarantee OJ Simpson is not in the top 5. Now, I don't know whether that's because they don't
He
want
is an honorable mention. Decades after his career, it becomes difficult to separate Simpson from the player, then Simpson the person. During his 11 seasons, the USC product scampered to 11,236 yards with a single season high of 2,003 and 61 scores. I don't know, man.
Yeah, but
I would still put LaDainian Tomlinson over
61
OJ Simpson.
compared to Marshall Faulk's 100 and then 36 receiving TDs. Emmitt Smith's 11 receiving TDs and 164 rushing TDs, and Walter Payton's
See, because I think the biggest
15 receiving and 110 rushing.
Because I think the biggest thing is O.J. Simpson's stats on the field were basically
Heisman Trophy.
From what I was hearing was because he was really great in college. 2-time NFL touchdown leader, 4-time rushing leader. So he led the league 4 times. 72, 73, 75, and 76.
AP Athlete of the Year.
I don't know what that is. What is that?
Well, it's the Associated Press. So out of every athlete, all of the associated
the entire, like,
everything.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that.
Well, I know what AP is, but I didn't know that, like,
But
they
Athlete
gave out
of the Year, I can only imagine that just means out of every sport.
At the time when women,
he was the best.
The first Athlete of the Year award in the United States was initiated in 1931. At the time when women in sports were not given the same recognition as men, the AP offered a male and female Athlete of the Year award to professional and amateur athletes. That's actually a pretty big accolade to have under your belt. AP Athlete of the Year. Was also the Emmitt Smith played a lot longer, I believe, so lifetime stats are misleading. I just think it's impressive that it was consistent enough during his long-standing career that he was able to sustain that, especially in a running back position where guys' shelf lives in that position are not, when you have a 10-year career as a running back and it's sustainable and it's sustainable for you to be good, it's impressive.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's
well, I think that also, we can harken back to last week when we were talking about pitchers and we're talking about Randy Johnson.
Right.
And he threw a perfect game when he was 40. Now,
it was basically unheard of.
Now, running backs and pitchers, that's an entirely different
different things. Yeah.
Not comparing apples to oranges here, but I think the lifetime stats are important because that also gives you a glimpse into their longevity as a player.
I totally agree with that.
How long they were good, how long they were dominant, and it can also, on the other flip side of that, can also dilute their stats when they start to play way
poorly.
Than,
I mean, was Jerry Rice the greatest receiver because he played as long as he did? No. Jerry Rice was the greatest receiver because he caught the ball the best, where it looks like sustainably for a long period of time, Emmitt Smith was able to run the ball the best that he could. Dude, Devin would have gained 1,000 yards behind that line. Behind the seat. Okay. I just, maybe that's good management. Football's a team sport.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to hate on the guy because he had a good line to run behind?
I mean, I see what you're saying. I totally hear you.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing it. I totally get what you're saying. All I'm saying as a rebuttal to it is it's not his fault he had a good line. If you took away that line, okay, so if Jerry Rice wasn't catching footballs from great quarterbacks his whole career, I mean, except for when he was in Seattle, would he still be the best wide receiver? I think so. But it takes two to tango. You know what I mean? It takes that whole offensive line.
You can't take away from a guy just because,
Well, what about if it was bad offensive coordinating too? If we were going to go down that road, if it was just bad, what if their offensive coordinator was so good at drawing up the plays, better than everybody else in the NFL? I mean, you could go down that route. There's a specific coach to everybody's position. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, there's lots of factors beyond just an individual's stats and athletic ability that goes into what's made a lot of these guys really good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if Emmitt Smith's dad didn't know specific people for him to get into a specific college, would he be where he was at now? I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, it takes 100 different factors, including a great offensive line, a great offensive coordinator, a great head coach and I'm not saying they were all great. That was like, not everything around Emmitt Smith was great. I'm just saying the factors were there right for him to be as sustainable as he was. Maybe the reason why he lasted so long is because he didn't get popped as much as bad offensive line backed running backs.
Yeah.
Because they get hurt and they get smashed, and then their career ends quicker. Barry Sanders would have destroyed every record if he wasn't running for his life every down.
Exactly.
That's, that's just how it went down, Or he was just the most talented in how to make his body last. That's another thing, too. Maybe Emmitt Smith was hitting the gym just that much more than somebody else. And it made him...
Or maybe he had the bubble tea.
Or maybe he was doing stuff extracurricular off the field that we don't... The bubbles? Okay. I don't even know. The running back depth for the top three is so, like, you got to lean one way or the other. And for me, all of the records, Jim Brown was in Mission Impossible. Jeff, oh my God.
He was in Mars Attacks as well.
Actually, he was.
I know.
The running back position is so deep with great talent. That guys that only end up playing for 3-4 years because their offensive line was bad. Who could have possibly had a great longevity of a career. But unfortunately, that's just the way the cards are played.
If ifs and buts were candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Hey, there you go. Zing, zing. Yeah, so clearly all of these guys but O.J. Simpson, I feel like I have to. Emmitt's last college game was a loss to the Huskies in the Gator Bowl. I didn't know that. Yeah, I like that. Dre 206. I like it.
Yeah.
Shout out Dre. The running back, obviously all of these guys that we're talking about have impacted the running back position so much that they have to be at least nominated in your top 5 to 10 at least. Like every single one of them. Even the new age guys that we talked about, LaDainian Tomlinson and Marshall Falk. Those guys have to be in your top 10.
Oh, I totally agree.
I don't see how they could not be. Being a part of the greatest show on turf for the Rams, I mean, that was just magic. That was one season, too. But Marshall Falk's longevity afterwards makes him that dual threat.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know where we ended up landing at 1, 2, and 3, but I think that was a great enough discussion that we basically talked about running backs the entire show.
Well, I mean, it doesn't really matter what our 1, 2, and 3 are. I mean, that's why
we talked about great running backs.
This. I mean, all of the guys that we talked about were amazing running backs.
For sure. Most definitely.
I don't even know if we have time to move on to the next position.
Let's hit tight ends.
All right, let's hit on tight ends.
I feel like we can smash because tight ends, I feel like is a pretty 1, 2, 3 punch. Like, I really think it's.
Who do you got number 3?
Number 3? I don't know who I got number 3.
Who you got number 1?
Tony Gonzalez.
Me too.
Tony Gonzalez. I don't think there's any question about that.
I don't think so, but
I'm sure somebody else has debate on that. So my problem is in the number 2 position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who I would put at 2 or 3, but Antonio Gates needs to be up there as well.
I got Antonio Gates as number 2.
As number 2?
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you have as 3?
Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp. I like that. Okay. Tight end football, best of all time. So tell me about Shannon Sharp's.
All right, Shannon Sharp played for the Broncos and the Ravens. He is an 8-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first team, 3-time Super Bowl champ. He had 815 catches, 10,060 yards, and 62 TDs in 204 games.
That's so crazy, bro. Oh man, 204 games,
Yeah.
bro. Oh, okay, Shan Sharp, man, I like that guy. He's always been a great dude. You know, I actually met him in the Denver airport.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, I met him in the Denver airport. Yeah,
That's really cool.
I thought it was cool too. Where's Rob Gronkowski land on your top?
Honestly, I flip-flopped between him and Shannon Sharp, but I don't have Gronk's numbers in front of me, but there was just a tiny little minute detail that put Shannon Sharp ahead of him for me.
Okay.
Let's see here. Yeah, go there.
3-time Super Bowl champion, 5-time Pro Bowl, 4-time first team All-Pro, comeback player of the year, receiving touchdown leader, 3rd team All-American, 1st team All-Pac-10. Don't care about that.
Well, Shannon Sharp had 8 Pro Bowls.
Okay.
And four
first teams? Does
the
Super Bowl
reception?
Does the Super Bowl victories bear any weight for you in this discussion?
Honestly, no, because it's a team win. I mean, yes, one player can make the difference in a win or a loss, but
I think it's different when we're talking about baseball and basketball for championships when it comes to football. And this is just my opinion on it. You know, everybody's going to feel differently when I say this, but more often than not, Rob Gronkowski does not get credited for those 3 Super Bowls that he got a victory in. People talk about Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying?
I totally agree. And the other thing, when you start talking that way, that they leave out is the incredible New England defense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the Super Bowls do not weight Gronk number 50. Gronk is made of glass. I totally agree with that. I'm not even saying that I want to put him in my top 3. I'm just saying
my top 5. Though.
I put him in my top 5. He definitely super injury prone, but
I think that was also the other thing that put Shannon Sharp ahead of me was the 815 catches instead of 521.
Yeah, that's not a lot because he didn't play a whole bunch the amount of seasons that he was in because he was hurt so much.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any debate here when you put top 10. I can respect a top 10. I can maybe not top 5. I can respect a top 10.
Well, Dennis is also older than us, so I'm also trying to think semi-recent. I know Shannon Sharp isn't a recent player.
Shannon Sharp played while we were watching football, well, at least when I was.
He did, but still not a this decade player.
Okay. I can see that. Okay. Yeah, no, I would put Gronk definitely in. How do you feel about Jason Witten?
I would probably go.
I don't need you to put a number on him.
Honestly,
maybe top 5 or top 10.
What I would do is I would go Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Shannon Sharp, Jason Witten, Gronk.
Let's compare Jason Witten to Gronk. Let's do that. Because I don't think there's a debate on Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez being a 1-2. Like, you cannot.
That's what I thought. You know, I thought that was pretty much check.
Yeah. Jason Witten. Sorry, it's taking me a minute. Yeah, so like I just don't think there's if you think there's a better wide receiver than Tony Gonzalez, please somebody out there tell me, please. But I just don't see it, man. I just don't.
No, I mean unless you want to go back to like the 1905 or
right,
something like that, which I'm willing to do that with baseball, but not with football.
Not with football. Jason Witten has an outstanding 11-time Pro Bowl.
Five says Jay. No,
I don't even know who that is. Never heard of him. Sorry. I believe you. I'm just trying to go off of, guys that I at least have heard of. I know who Walter Payton is. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I feel comfortable enough to talk about Walter Payton.
If you didn't, you don't.
Yeah,
really.
2 first-team All-Pro for Jason Witten. 4 first-team All-Pro for Gronk.
Yeah, but 11 Pro Bowls.
That's impressive. 1,152 receptions versus Gronk's 512. 7,861 receiving yards versus Jason's 12,448. 68 receiving touchdowns, 79 receiving touchdowns. So does this basically just tell you that Gronk catches the ball really deep down the field or is consistently a red zone threat?
That I would say that consistently makes him a red zone threat. We've seen Gronk catch deep passes, but where he's dangerous is that little dump off, 5-6 yards into the end zone.
Yeah. I think I would put Jason Witten over Gronk.
Yeah, I mean, I put Jason Witten as my number 4 and Gronk as my number 5.
Okay. All right. Who would you put as your 3?
Shannon
Sharp. Who are you putting as your 4?
Jason Witten.
Okay.
And Gronk is number 5.
Okay. We got to talk about Greg Olsen, though.
I agree.
We got to talk about Greg Olsen. For sure.
Because I still like watching Greg Olsen. I mean, I know I shouldn't.
What about Mike Ditka? I
only know Mike Ditka as a
coach. Yeah. Rob Gronkowski. Wow. Okay. Jason Witten got 4 for them. John Mackey. Kellen Winslow. That's somebody who I totally forgot about. Not up there for me, though. No, I wouldn't put him as 2.
See, he might be number 2 for somebody. But
not for me.
I wasn't watching football in '87.
Antonio Gates definitely.
I wasn't born in '87 either. So,
can we look at Antonio Gates versus Tony Gonzalez just so we can? I know Antonio Gates has played, I think, a lot longer than.
I don't know. Okay, so Tony Gonzalez played for the Chiefs and the Falcons, 14 Pro Bowls, 6-time first team All-Pro, 4-time second team, NFL reception leader in 2004, 2000's All-Decade team with 1,325 receptions, 15,127 receiving yards, 111 TDs, and 270 games. Antonio Gates.
The only thing that Antonio Gates has on him is the touchdowns, and it's by like 1 or 2, I think.
It's by 5.
By 5? Okay.
So he played for the Chargers, 8 Pro Bowls, 3 first teams, 955 receptions, 11,841 yards, and 116 touchdowns, and also 2000's All-Decade team.
There you go. Yeah, Tony Gonzalez definitely has to be number one, man. Dallas Clark, Austin Collie were sick. I actually kind of like Dallas Clark. I really liked watching him play. I think that one was an easy one that we could have popped out. The 3 spot for me was a little bit, where we could fill out. But I could see why you would put Shannon Sharp at 3. I like that.
Yeah, I think his stats were just a little bit better. And the fact that he was a little bit more recent player.
Yeah, I can get with that. I'm on board with that.
Yeah, because I didn't just start watching football, but I've been watching baseball a lot longer, so I'm a lot more aware of the older players and like their contribution to baseball than I am to older players in football and their contribution to football.
And that's another thing is when we get into this debate with the NFL positions, that you're going to notice that there are so many more players in football.
Because you're not going to have a 10, 15-year career.
Well, that aside, how many tight ends are on a roster for an NFL team where how many catchers are on a roster for a baseball team? You split downs.
Yeah.
Not everybody plays every single down, and if you do, you get tired and worn out real quick.
Right. Well, that's the difference between an aerobic and an anaerobic sport.
Right. So
you can play first base every day.
You can't play
running back every
day.
down.
Quarterback, you could for sure. We can, but
sure.
That's what I'm talking about. Is these running backs, the consistency and the durability that some of these guys had that we discussed today is impressive because you don't play every down. You can't. You just physically can't.
No, and that's why all kinds of teams have a third down back, or like Seattle does for the last couple of years, just running back committee. They have 3-4 solid running backs. Are any of them going to go in the Hall of Fame? No, probably not. But they're successful doing it.
Right.
And they win games doing it.
Right.
Whereas if you have, shortstop by committee and you have 5 different shortstops, you're not going to win games that way.
Right. It's about the consistency more often than anything.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So
not to compare, football and baseball, but
well, and that's what I was saying is we're going to run into more players in the NFL,
right? And
that I've never heard of.
Exactly, and that's the point I was trying to get across is, there's a lot more players out there that I just straight up haven't heard of.
No idea who some of these guys are, and I'm not an NFL expert,
Not even by a long shot.
No.
I wouldn't even qualify myself as an MLB expert, but my knowledge for these old time, classic baseball players is way more extensive than it is for to come up with a Bart Starr or a whoever his receiver was in the 50s. I just don't know that.
Right. Dennis says, hate Pats but respect accomplishments, miss watching Indy and Pats games. Yeah, it's always fun, man. It's always fun watching your team play up against a team like the Patriots. That's the 59 mark. At 59 minutes. We only got through 2 positions. Man, our running back conversation went deep.
I kind of thought it might.
I like that, though. That's okay.
I mean, when you're talking about a position where, on average, a guy's only playing 5 years.
Yeah. I feel like we're going to run into the same thing when we hit quarterbacks as well. So let's we hit both offense today. We hit tight ends and running backs, right?
Yeah.
So then let's let's get to our
Yeah, we didn't even get to
let's
cornerbacks.
Let's get to cornerbacks and our defensive ends next week.
Okay.
And let's come up with 2 more off screen. We'll do an off screen, talk about it real quick.
Let's do one.
Let's do one. Okay.
Well,
let's do one.
If it goes anything like today.
Okay. Yeah. Let's just pick one more and we'll fill the slot if so. So I like one. Why don't you go ahead and just tell me what you want to pick right now? You pick one.
We're gonna go offense or defense?
Let's go offense because we already have 2 defense on deck.
Okay. Let's go wide receiver then.
Wide receiver. Okay. Wide receiver as a whole, or are we going to talk about outside or slot receivers?
Let's go slot receivers.
Slot receivers? Okay. Or do you just want to do wide receivers as a whole just to make it easier for us?
You know what? Let's just do wide receivers.
Okay. Wide receivers as a whole. So we will be talking about cornerbacks, and we will be talking about
pass
rushers, defensive linemen,
or defensive linemen,
and
wide receivers.
Wide receivers if we get to it. That's what's going to be on our show next week. I believe we're going to be joined by a GCSN writer, Nick Lombardi, but I'll have to verify that. So we'll have him join us in the conversation. Possibly.
Okay.
It's something that's up in the air. But, so, guys, thanks so much for watching. I know it's hard for some of you guys while the hockey game's on. I'm watching it, but focused on this. So, thanks for bearing with us and watching for the hour. Go to Game Changer Sports Network, like their Facebook page, like their Instagram, like their Twitter. Go to Talking Interference Sports, like our Facebook page, like our Twitter, like our Instagram, like our YouTube, and go to Tabby's Coffee, get some coffee in Everett. Tell her Talking Interference Sports sent you. SeatGeek.com, when you're going to a sporting event, SeatGeek.com, use promo code GCSN, get $20 off your purchase. Boom. Anything else to add?
No.
All right.
You guys have a good week.
Yeah.
Good weekend.
Hope for us to catch all of the shrimp.
Yes. And also look out for us to make a pick on our giveaways.
Oh, yeah. So, basically nobody did anything. So there's going to be 3 or 4 people that are going to get picked from. So if you guys enter in our giveaway contest by the end of tomorrow, I'll give it one more day just because I haven't had it set up to pick today.
Well, I think we did it on Thursday last week, so it was a week.
It's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys have one more day to get into the entries for the Ken Griffey Jr. bobblehead and the Ricardo Lockett.
Got right here. I'll show everybody.
The Ricardo Lockett autographed photo. So we are giving this away. Go on our page and look at our page and look at the rules. You can get this Ken Griffey Jr. autographed, or not autographed, bobblehead, and then this Ricardo Lockett autographed
and
authenticated as well. Dang it. Ricardo Lockett photo. So you guys have until tomorrow to get it done, and we will pick out the winner. So, go check it out. Tell your friends, and I think that's it for us tonight. Go Blues.
Okay.